Hello, my name is Mark Darko, and I'm glad to have you back. Thank God. Today, I'm going to be speaking on the topic legislating immorality, part one. And part one, I'm going to be talking about the fact that sex is identified and not assigned. Sex is identified and not assigned. You're welcome, and I'm very pleased to have you back on this channel. Now, the LGBT movement and a few psychologists have been trying hard to rewrite the norms upon which the human society has developed over the centuries, many, many centuries. They've tried to redefine important words, terminologies that govern the human structure or the social structure and human relationships. Today, they have redefined to rewrite the norms to mean anything but marriage between a man and a woman. Today, the terms husband and wife are becoming obsolete. In many forms that you fill today, when you want to fill a form, you'll see spouse instead of husband or wife. And in the same way, they are trying to tell us that sex is a spectrum. Isn't that interesting? Sex is a spectrum. That means that we have so many sexes. I don't know how many sexes they want to create in addition to the two sexes that God created. But they are saying sex is a spectrum. And they are also saying that sex is assigned. Now, just what that means is difficult to discern. And I think they will best be able to tell us what they mean. But actually, it is very nonsensical. Sex cannot be assigned by anyone. Sex is only identified. When we go to the Bible, and if you want to read with me, Genesis chapter 5, verse 1 to 3, the Bible says, this is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them, male and female, and blessed them and called them mankind, or Adam, in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness after his image, and named him Seth. Now, today, the LGBT movement, backed by the heavy wallets of movie stars, Hollywood stars and television stars and the rich people out there, and together with certain politicians and a few psychologists, are trying very hard to change the focus, to change even the direction that the human race has been moving on for centuries. Now, what do they mean when they tell us that sex is assigned? It simply means that nobody knows the sex of a child when it is born. Later on, as the child is growing, then maybe the child itself or the parent or somebody else would tell us what sex that child has. That's ridiculous. We all know that when a child is born, the nurses and the doctors or the midwives just tell the mother, the father, what sex the child has. It's a boy. It's a girl. The doctors don't assign the sex. They only describe the sex. They only tell the mother what the sex is. Because there are only two sexes, even as we see in the Bible. He says that he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female. There are only two sexes, male and female. The LGBT movement can fight as they may. Those psychologists and those, other people who are working through legislation and other things, they can try as they may. They may change the vocabulary. They may redefine words. But you cannot change the truth and the fact that humans are male and female. Sex is male and female. And it will remain so forever. Now, are people trying to play God by saying that they can redefine sex? There are only two sexes, male and female. So that you can only identify it. You don't assign. You can't assign. Who are you to assign sex? When a child is born, then later on somebody would examine and say it's a male, it's a female, or to say it's transgender, whatever that means. No. You may try as hard as you can, but you cannot change what God has made. God made them male and female, and sex will continue to be male and female. Now, if you take any human being, whatever they are, they may be gay, lesbian, bisexual, heterosexual, whatever it is, take any human being and reverse engineer that person. What I mean is that take any human being and try to work the composition of that person backward until you get to the time of the very first formation of the child. You would realize that it will come back to two important things: a male sperm and a female ova, period. You cannot go beyond that. Reverse engineer any human being, and it will come to its most basic form, most basic components: a male sperm and a female ova. You cannot add a third thing to it. You can't. And for there to be a human being, there has to be the contribution of a male and the contribution of a female. There is nothing else that you will add to it in order to get a human being. So when a human being is formed in the womb and grows, that human being has the genetic composition of a male and female and comes out to be either a male or female. So reverse engineer any human being and you'll not get 3 sexes or 4 sexes or 5. You only get 2 sexes. Now, I want you to add your voice to mine as I stand with certain people who try to change their sexes. They were goaded on. They were encouraged. They were told that it's okay to change your sex. It's okay to create a third sex, a group. And some did it, some didn't even know. Some were born into that kind of situation. They suffered terrible trauma. And years later, they sought to retransition. very difficult process of retransitioning into their rightful sex. And I first want us to look at the question, very important question. Do children have any right to be raised by both parents who make up their genetic composition? Now, you see, the LGBT movement have a lot of rights today. Today, they have rights to get married. A man can get married to a man, and a woman can get married to a woman. They have those rights. They also fought for the rights to adopt a child, so that a man and a man can adopt a child, raise a child. A woman and a woman can raise a child. Today, a woman and a woman can seek the donation of a sperm from a man, and they will incubate it in the womb of one of the women. So that woman in whose womb the child, the sperm is incubated, will be the male, and the other woman will be the wife, sort of. This is what happened to Millie Fontana, whose story I want to share with you, and whose story you can go and read. Now, she was raised by two female parents. The sperm that formed her was donated by a man to one of her parents. So she was born and she was raised by two females. And her story is pathetic because she, as she was growing, she said she would look at her eyes and she had green eyes. But none of the two women had green eyes. She would go to school and see that men and women came to pick up her peers, her friends in school. Men and women came and showed love and affection to the children. Most of the time it was a man and a woman, or a man or a woman. But in her case, it was a woman and a woman. She was struggling to find out who she really was. When she began to know, she began to understand that it takes a father and a mother, it takes a man and a woman to create a child, to procreate. She asked to know who her father was, and she was simply lied to. This is Millie Fontana. I add my voice to your voice, Millie. And I add my voice to your voice to ask the question that the children like Millie Fontana have a right to know who their father is. Do they have a right to be raised by a father and a mother, or a man and a woman? Do they have any right at all? The LGBT movement have a lot of rights. You have fought for your rights to get married. That is same-sex marriage. Now you fought and won the right to adopt a child. But the child you are adopting, has that child got any right? And I'm asking this question to the government, to all social groups. Has that child also got a right to be raised by the people, or not necessarily the same people, but the sexes whose genetic contribution makes the child up? Has a child got a right to be raised by both a man and a woman? Because there is the part that a woman plays in the upbringing of a child, in parenthood. And there is the role that a man plays in parenthood. So both men and women, or mothers and fathers, have important roles in parenthood. Many times, it is impossible for the mother to play the role of the father at the same time. For instance, in many cases, mothers are very indulgent. In that case, we need a strict father, a disciplinarian father, to get the child, to give the child the balance they need. Okay, so there is the element of fatherhood that is needed in the upbringing of a child. There is an element of motherhood, that touch of a mother, that is needed in the upbringing of a child. Now, you two males that are raising up that child, you adopted someone's child. You cannot reproduce. You can't change that. A man and a man cannot reproduce. There is no way you can change it forever. A woman and a woman cannot reproduce. You will need a third party. You will need a third party to contribute a sperm or an ovum. So now, you have chosen to raise up a child because you fought for that right. You earned that right to raise a child, to adopt a child and raise a child. You claim that you want to give that child all the affection that they need. But has that child got any right to be raised up by the two sexes whose genetic composition he's made of? Has that child got that right? Who will fight for the right of that child? Millie struggled through the years, and she finally was able to get the parents to tell her the truth, that actually it's a donor. That donor is not called the father. It's a woman that is called the father, that plays the role of the father. The one who donated the sperm is not called the father. It's just called the donor. This is what our world has come up to. And there are heavy duty people who have political power, who have economic power, who are working out things to turn upside down the whole society. I add my voice to the voice of Millie and many other children like her. She is grown up, and thank God today she can talk. She's talking. And I just want to add my voice to her voice, and I actually want to ask you to go to the YouTube and find out the story of Millie Fontana, the other side of the rainbow. That's the topic, the title of her video, the other side of the rainbow. Listen to her story and add your voice to her voice. Let us begin to ask this question, whether the children that are being raised by same-sex couples, whether those children have a right to be raised by parents, by the sexes whose genetic composition they are made of. I want to go to another person, Walt Heyer. Now, this man is an old man now, an author, a public speaker, formerly identified and lived as transgender. He was affirmed at the age of 4 by her grandmother. At the age of 4, he probably just made some, childish statement and said, "I'm a girl." The grandmother said, "Yeah, you are a girl," and put on her a pink dress. A child of 4 years who doesn't know right from wrong sees a video or reads a book or is motivated by whatever it is and says, a boy comes and says, I'm a girl. I think I'm a girl. Or a girl comes and says, I think I'm a boy. And then the parents are taught today to affirm what that child is saying. So if a girl comes and says, I think I'm a boy, the parents are being taught today. We are being told that all that you have to do is to affirm. Tell that girl that suddenly says that he's a boy, she's a boy, or she's a he, affirm and say, yeah, you are a boy, and go and change the wardrobe of that child. That is what our society has come up to. So he, for many years, and in 1944, that was a time that he was affirmed. And it was in 1990, after 46 years of going through trauma, because he was actually goaded on by a doctor. You can also go and read the story of Robert Hix. A doctor told him that, that affirmation at the age of 4 means that there's something wrong with you. You have to go reassignment. You have to undergo reassignment surgery. And this is what he did. And his life was thrown into an abyss of trauma, confusion. Thank God he was able to detransition, come back after 44 gruesome years. How did he do it? He used psychotherapy. The same psychotherapy that is banned today. In my next video, I will talk about how the LGBT and some psychologists and some people have succeeded in bringing about legislations that actually ban psychotherapy that seek to correct, certain anomalies in sexual identity. So he said, the American Psychological Association in their handbook in 2014 says that kids are not born transgender. 2014 handbook of APA. Kids are not born transgender. But today, kids are being told they are transgender and being helped to transition into either of the sexes. Now, that is the very respectable man who is now talking out, speaking. And again, I want to add my voice to Hix's voice, and I want you also to add your voice. He has gone through a lot of threats for speaking out. He's been threatened by big people who have money, the transgender movement, who threaten to drown anyone who dares say anything contrary to what they are saying. He says it's not affirming a child, it is causing them to be anxious and depressed about who they are. When you tell that child at 4 years, that boy who comes and says, Mommy, I think I'm a girl. And you say you have to affirm, say, okay, you are a girl. And then you begin to give that child, girlish dresses, pink dresses and other things. You are not affirming, according to Hix, it's not affirming a child. It is causing them to be anxious and depressed about who they are. He has gone through it. He knows what he's gone through. He is a voice that I want to hear. He's a voice that I want to support. And I want you to support such voices. There are many out there. And we want to rise up and support them. Because the LGBT movement has a huge microphone. They have a huge megaphone. When they talk, people hear, people listen, politicians listen because they are afraid. When they talk, pastors and religious people cower. They are afraid. But I want all of you who are not afraid to add your voices to these people because they're suffering. Let us identify with them and ask the most basic questions. Do they have any rights? Do children have any rights? Now, so after affirming, what they begin to do is injection of transgender hormones. Or they inject transgender hormones. Or they inject puberty blockers. That means that when you identify, when they assign, quote unquote, assign your sex, when they finally tell you that you are a girl, even though you are a boy, your genitalia tells you are a boy, your features show that you're a boy. Now they tell you you are a girl because you have certain feelings, that make you think you are a girl. Then they say, yes, then you are a girl. Then they begin to block blocking hormones, which means that your puberty will be delayed and blocked. The kind of consequences that those kind of injections bring, even though the FDA has not proven those injections, they've not given the green light to them. But they are being used even on children. Just because the child haven't read a book in school, and I tell you, they are giving them books in schools. They are reading books in school about transgender. They are watching films. People are sitting on television saying how good it is to be transgender. Wherever you turn in our society, there's transgender. So it's very easy for a child who knows nothing to come back from school one day and tell the mommy, a girl to tell the mommy, "Mommy, I'm a boy." Or a boy to tell, the father, "Daddy, I'm a girl." And the society is saying that once the child has told you that, you have to affirm. Tell the child, yes, it's good. It's good. And then begin to give that child transgender hormones. Estrogen to the boy and testosterone to the girl. Which means that the hormones that would cause that boy, that would have caused the boy to mature into puberty and become a man, are suppressed. And the boy is given hormones that will make her into a girl. It doesn't work out that way. In the end, what happens? A lot of problems. They are depressed. They have bipolar, symptoms. They have all kind of schizophrenia. They have all kinds of problems. Because you cannot change what the Creator has done. Humans are trying to play God. They are trying even to create their own human beings. And then after that, they'll give you the puberty blockers, hormonal, hormonal, how do you call it, transgender hormones. And then they will also do reassignment surgery. Either remove your genitals, replace the penis with a vagina, and oh my God, it's just horrible. Sometimes they'll use the anus, to create a kind of vagina. What kind of society are we becoming? Have we lost it? But see, in all these, what is even more important is that they are saying that you don't have a right to tell a boy who says I'm a girl, you don't have a right even to try to reorient that child. And the legislation that is coming up today is trying to ban just that. Heya says that we are manufacturing transgender kids. We are manufacturing transgender kids. Yes, we, the society. By the media hype, the Hollywood stars, TV stars, who all come and say how great it is to be transgender, to be gay, to be lesbian, who openly sing the praises of lesbianism and homosexuality. Children in school are given books to read. So what's happening? There are more children coming home each day and telling the parents that they don't like the sexes that they are made of. I don't want to be a boy. Like Heya was saying, he said, look, it's very easy for a boy after whom a little girl is born, say, let's say a 4-year-old boy, and a sister has just been born. And the boy suddenly sees that all the attention of the parents are on the girl. The boy no longer has the attention of the parents. I had that experience when my wife gave birth to our third daughter. Our second son got upset because all our attention was on the newborn child. Thank God he didn't know anything about transgender. So this boy who sees that the attention of the parents are no longer on him but on the girl, getting to know that she's a girl, can easily think that, oh, because it is because she's a girl, that is why she has the attention of daddy and mommy. So I'll also become a girl in order to have the same attention. Mr. Heya says that in 100% of the cases, in the thousands of letters that he receives calling for help to transition back, to get out of the mess that the society created for them. When he interviewed those people, 100%, they had a reason why they chose not to like their sex, their natural sex. Now, in the next video, I'll be talking more about legislation and the proper Christian response. But I want us for now to think about the children. Think about a child like Fontana. Many of the children who are being raised by LGBT people, many of the children that are being raised by, I don't know if Buddha Juju is raising a child, he and his partner are raising a child, but I just want, if they are, I want to ask Buddha Juju a question. Has that child got a right to be raised by a father and a mother, a woman and a man? You have fought for your rights. You've gotten your rights. Now, what about the children? Who will speak for the children? Which government body will speak for the children? We claim that we have child rights and we put child rights above anybody. No, not today. That child that is being raised by transgender or couples or same-sex couples, I want to say that that child also has a right to be raised by the father and mother, or at least to be raised by male and female parents whose genetic composition they are made of. I want you to subscribe to this channel. I want you to pass it on. And I want to give credit to Heya and Fontana. I want you to watch their videos. They are doing an excellent job, and I want you to add your voices to these voices. I want to give credit to them. I also want to give credit to my great, wonderful producer, Hixvideos, who has made it possible for me to bring to you this talk. Now, if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel. You can share it with other people. And I also want to call upon you to support us. Give to support this video channel, and God will bless you. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.